Well, the week has been full of excitement, disappointment, and scare. It's actually have been one hell of a week. Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Wellness and Beyond. Our country is never without fun and game, and wow, one hell of a week. Welcome to the Wellness and Beyond show. This is our second episode. We could have had more when we had our camera voice recording working, so we lost the voice. However, we didn't lose much. There's been really every week, every 2 weeks, some exciting stuff happening. So we're actually quite happy to be here. I'm going to take you through what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to dive in and talk about the budget speech. Obviously, we must. I mean, this affects you and me, affects businesses and everything else. And then we're going to be also tackling what I attended yesterday. We went to the South Africa, China Supply Chain Conference happening that took place in Sandton. One of the biggest. Between China and South Africa, you're looking at about 50 billion that's been traded on a yearly basis. So they are literally our biggest partner. So we'll tackle that. But we're also going to be talking about energy drinks when we're now talking about the future of health and wellness. Energy drinks, problem galore. Stay tuned if you want to hear more about it and watch right through the entire episode. Please like and subscribe, comment, the whole thing. Would love to engage with you. Would like to hear what you want us to talk about. Budget speech. And it was obviously postponed. As you know, it was postponed to the 12th of March. But now, what is really going on, right? Because it takes a whole year to actually come up with one. It's not something that you wake up one day and say, oh, we're going to do a budget speech. So pretty much all that had transpired until now has been literally information that's trickling in to say, GNU members, we're not happy with what the budget looks like, or we're not happy even precisely about this increase in 2%. Now let's break it down. Let's break this down for you. Just after we watch this video.
To actually have the Minister of Finance presenting the budget to this august house, that there has not been agreement in terms of parties in the executive to actually find one another in proposals of the budget.
Been watching these developments, listening to you and the conversations you've been having. Quite a lot of people taken by surprise at this, particular development, and a number of people saying that why wasn't it done sooner? Because surely if you see, the red flags that you're not in agreement, why don't you then move to postpone the budget speech? But it was not to be, because you all got to learn as you were there waiting to hear.
Now, understand this, right? To look at where the country gets its money from, we have to look at a few things. It's your personal income, yes, you and me. It's a corporate income, businesses, as I'm running one too. And lastly, it's your VAT. Now, if you look at what had transpired, why did we choose the 2% increase in VAT? It's actually quite simple. There is absolutely no options around, right? Look where things are. We have a very low growth, right? And with a very low growth, you don't have a problem because you can't service your debt. And talking about debt, GDP ratio to debt is 70%. What does that mean? That means we are paying R1 billion every day to service our loans, our debt. And there's indications that we have asked for $1.5 billion from the World Bank. And that's going to be another problem. The issue here is that it's not working. If you look at amount of corporate contributors, right? And if you want to increase that, flight, obviously. Nobody wants to get more taxes. Now you look at the pool of people to be taxed on personal tax, again, not enough, right? And then you then look at VAT. As much as VAT idea would work, you're still going to have an issue where it will affect your people that you're trying to protect, the people that are living on these social grants. If you're increasing VAT, you're literally taking that buying power away from them. And it's not even a lot of money. So you're going to tax that on top of the fact that they're not really getting a lot of money. But we need to grow ourselves out of this social issue. We need to create more jobs. But how do you create more jobs without money to fund these enterprises? Now, for example, if you're looking at the current state of where things are and the fact that we cannot really tax and do all sorts of things, what do we do? What is it that we have to do? We need to grow our economy. That's an obvious thing. But how do you then grow economy under the circumstances? And which circumstances am I talking about? Well, COVID came, decimated whatever that was built, small businesses like ourselves. And by the way, yesterday was our anniversary for 8 years. So we literally survived 8 years. But here's the thing, survived. You cannot create jobs with survival. You need to prosper. You need to grow. And your growth will then be able to bring in all these jobs that we're talking about. Say we take Biomulti as an example. My entity, if we had managed to scale, at the time when we did manage to scale, when it was a prime time to scale, before COVID, we would have created enough jobs. And if you then take that and replicate that across to everybody else who runs a small business, then you then definitely start seeing the light on the other side of the tunnel. But we will not be able to do so, because not only that it was decimated, but you also have what we call, I call it retail capture, which is that you have big corporates that are not necessarily coming to the party, making sure that the small businesses are actually rising and scaling to actually become large business. Because that's where basically magic will happen, where we're actually creating these jobs. How do I mean by that? You go to your favorite supermarket or pharmacy chain, corporate pharmacy chain, and you will notice very, very easily that there's a lot of the store brands. These store brands are the problem. If I'm innovating and I create a whole new, interesting, exciting product for you, it becomes popular. People like it. Guess what? These corporations that own the brick and mortar retail stores will take and copy the product as it is and put it into the shelf as their brand, the no-name brand or store brand, or whatever you want to call it. And that's where the problem is. It means they will definitely increase their bottom line, but it means guys like me and many others that are out there, whether in medicine, whether in food, whether in sauces, whatever you call it, they don't. Because immediately when you start, your head comes out and say, whoa, this is popular, boom, chop you out. So if we need to come together, big business, small business, government, to try and create this opportunity, it's not just going to create itself. And we need to stop this whole behavior, the parasitic behavior of these corporations, because with that behavior, there's no growth. We always say, but there should be growth, but where would that growth come from? Think about it for a sec. If we, as businesses, small businesses, first of all, are paid within 15 days, not 90 days, right? You have a beautiful cash flow that you'll be able to pay things on time, be able to pay your suppliers on time, and be able to grow and scale. Now, the growing and scaling come from the innovation that you are putting forward. I bring something new, I bring something to you, you like it, people buy it. As more people buy it, I grow the business. All we need is support, big business, to make that happen, so that we can then prosper and employ more people. That is my fundamental problem with how the economy is structured right now. Now, going back to the government, what should they do? If you have any suggestions, please share them. Is the debt the only thing that's there that we need to be able to raise money? Is it really? Is there no other means to do it? There should be. we've got economists, we've got really smart people that advise the government, and people that are watching here on various platforms, they are also equally smart. So why don't you guys in terms of what you think and how we should do it? Because it's very important that we can find a solution to this problem. One, there is not enough money in the fiscus. Two, we need to grow. Three, most importantly, we've got social programs. We are paying social programs and we don't even have enough money to pay them. So how do we make this work? I've mentioned that we need to grow out of this problem, and I've come up with ideas of how we need to do it. But there's also other ways and means, and I'd like to hear from you what those ways and means and we about. Yesterday we had the pleasure to attend the South Africa-China Supply Chain Conference in Sandton. Very, very interesting event in a sense that China and South Africa, they're trying to create a pathway for both countries to take advantage of the market in the Chinese, as well as take advantage of our market here, which they already are doing. But the main thing is that we need to have something similar to AGOA with Chinese, so that there are certain products that we know that we can be able to supply the Chinese market without any import duties, right? And I think that will definitely galvanize and get some of the things that we want to achieve. Like wine, for example. Chinese is the biggest wine importer from South Africa, and I think it's important if we can be able to grow that pie, and many, many other pie. What excites me though, we watched the clip. A quick introduction of what had happened there yesterday, and of course, diving in and talking about obviously the challenges that the country has. So yes, enjoy that. We are at a very exciting event. It's a South Africa-China International Expo event, where we're looking at the cooperation between South African companies and Chinese companies. Now, this is coming at a backdrop of a very interesting event that happened yesterday. We all know we were supposed to have a budget speech. It didn't happen, purely because we are indebted as a country. I mean, our debt is sitting at 70% to our GDP. Makes no sense. The only way to grow out of that debt is to grow the economy. And I think these events are the cornerstones of making sure that we can achieve this, and making sure that we can think out of the box in terms of where we need to be, how we need to get there. But increasing VAT, it's one of those things that are obviously going to be contentious. I think we are not being creative enough. I think we should be more creative enough. I think we should reach out more to our partners so that we can, at the end of the day, have a clear plan that will take South Africa from where it is to a much more greater nation. What excites me though is the prospect of partnership in terms of manufacturing. For us to grow ourselves out of our problem, or basically the solution to grow ourselves out of our problem has to go through industrialization, manufacturing, right? We need to manufacture. And I cannot stress that as much as I have. It's important that we set up more manufacturing sites, not shopping malls, manufacturing sites. The more we can have, the better it will be, because it means we're going to be able to employ more people. Our labor is still relatively cheaper. We're not cheaper than India, but definitely we are now cheaper than China. And they are a juggernaut at the moment, and they are steaming ahead. So it makes sense how we stick with the partners we have, the Global South. It makes sense that we consolidate all of that, and it makes sense that we try and make sure that we're trading amongst each other with favorable terms. Now, everybody obviously is gunning for, market product exchanges and so forth and so on. But for us as South Africa, we need to make sure that we partner with those individuals and companies that have the experience, bring it in together so that we can actually create industrial might in South Africa. Medicine is one of those things. I'm a big pusher of the country to be self-reliant, self-sustainable. Now, you could bash the US about how they want to now be America first, America first. And you could argue, well, if they do that, increasing tariffs is going to affect their inflation. Probably not. The US is self-reliant, 90% self-reliant. We are not. We're probably 10% self-reliant. The only thing that we do great and amazing and we export is our own food. Now, we need to process everything here so that when we export stuff, we don't export things that are raw. Mining is one of the biggest ticket of job creation here, but we cannot stop being just the primary, guys. You're not going to grow just being a primary provider of raw materials to the rest of the world. You can forget about it. These unemployed young people, that energy, we need to bring it into industrialization. We need to bring it into manufacturing stuff. And I think that's something that's very close to my heart because I know the lives that we'll be able to improve. Now, we are in the thick of things, of everything. Well, cannabis, medicine. Why? Because these are, I believe, are going to be the drivers of our growth. The president talked about it, talked about cannabis, talked about making sure that cannabis is available in stores. That's pretty much, I would say, 2 years away, if I'm not mistaken. But we are working with the relevant government departments to come up with proper legislation that makes sense, that will enable this industry to grow, right? We already are doing it in a way, but we need to grow that. It needs to be much more bigger. It needs to be much more inclusive, not just the big boys, flexing. It needs to go down, to the smallest businesses. Smallest business that hires 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. But this will help us a lot in terms of making sure that we come out of this problem. Now, there were very, very high-level dignitaries that were there. Our Premier, Banyaza, wasn't there. South African ambassador to China was also here, able to talk about the collaborations between the countries. Now, this expo is taking place in China, I believe somewhere in July. And we are looking at it very closely to participate in that space. What we must, and we must really push this, is that we must beneficiate. Is a word that's been thrown all over the place. The politicians use it all the time. I don't think it has any meaning. But basically, what it is that we need to make sure that we add a lot of processing of our product here locally as opposed to shipping them out raw. In my space, the medicine space, we see it all the times. Tons and tons and tons of raw material of your scilithium, of your devil's claw, of your pelargonium, of artemisia, and many, many, many more of these natural medicine, which, by the way, globally is growing, globally, everywhere, right? But we're not really benefiting from a grassroots level. We're still exporting our raw material, somebody still processes them somewhere, bring it back to us as a finished product. This cannot be, because it just means that we'll be just where we are, stagnant. So we need to be activists about this. I am an activist about this because I want this to happen. I want best futures for my kids. And the only way to do it is to create a safe environment. And the only way to create a safe environment is to get people's jobs. Simple as that. So that's my drive. On the health and wellness side, we're going to be talking about energy drinks.
Energy drinks are super popular, especially with young adults.
It kind of gives me like a boost.
College junior Alan Ebershemi works late nights at a restaurant, so he uses them to stay awake.
During the middle of the shift, I'll feel tired and I'll knock one down.
But the drinks are landing more and more people in the emergency room.
It's the first question I ask when I see a young person with a rapid heartbeat and anxiety is, have you taken any energy drinks?
A report from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration says ER visits doubled in the last 4 years, from about 10,000 to more than 20,000.
A Team 10 consumer report about caffeine levels in energy drinks. Now, health concerns about energy drinks were heightened this week with reports of 5 deaths possibly linked to Monster energy drink.
Kristen. And it can be hard to tell how much caffeine is in these energy drinks, and some companies are actually mislabeling the amounts. With their Facebook pages and internet video campaigns, manufacturers specifically target young people. Consumer Reports says you have to be careful how much caffeine you drink.
It can quicken your pulse, cause abnormal heart rhythms, keep you from sleeping well, and elevate your blood pressure.
Consumer Reports analyzed the caffeine content of 27 top-selling energy drinks, testing 3 samples each. Although some list the amount of caffeine on the package, they're not required to. Consumer Reports found the numbers can be way off.
Some of the energy drinks underestimated the amount of caffeine listed on the label by 20% or more.
So how much caffeine do energy drinks contain? In Consumer Reports tests, it varied widely. For example, FRS Healthy Energy averaged 17 milligrams per container, Red Bull and SK Street Kings Energy around 80, 5-Hour Energy 215 milligrams, and 5-Hour Energy Extra Strength 242.
Well, it's one of the latest social media crazes among kids, and now a popular energy drink is facing growing scrutiny over its potentially dangerous level of caffeine.
But prime beverages in general contain such high levels of caffeine, 200 milligrams, which is equivalent to 6 cans of Coke or 2 Red Bulls, that some schools in the UK and Australia have actually banned them. Concerned about the potentially harmful effects on children, things like digestive issues, anxiety, insomnia, and even heart problems.
Energy drink, guys. Energy drinks are everywhere. As you saw in the clip, they're very popular. Truck drivers love them. Students love them. Pretty much everybody loves them. But what's inside energy drinks? We now know the dangers that are there. I mean, some of these energy drinks, you're looking at 8 cups of coffee on one sitting, 4 cups of coffee on one sitting. That spells disaster right there. There's sugar in these things. There's sugar, right? And for the fact that they make them so beautiful and nice and literally marketing to kids indirectly. And these are the things that we must stop. So if you are addicted to energy drink, think again. You're gonna have issues with your heart, you're gonna have issues with your blood pressure, you're gonna have issues with your blood sugar. So you literally are creating a very toxic, very unhealthy environment, which at the end of the day becomes a problem of the state. Of course, you've got medical aid, those that can afford, at some point they put you out. We know what happens, right? So it's very important that you lead your life as healthy as you can. Find an alternative to your typical energy drink. There are really lovely stuff out there. There are really good stuff that you can drink or take that would not have these effects that are associated with energy drink. Their stuff is literally killing people on a daily basis, and it's impossible and makes no sense, as far as I'm concerned, that people are still clinging on to these energy drinks and drinking them, right? And we must be responsible as parents as well to make sure that we don't expose our kids to these famous brands that are coming up. So we must really, really be careful. You must take charge of your own health. You must take charge of your own health. No one else. Your health is your responsibility. And that's what I teach my kids on a daily basis. Biomulti products that we make are everywhere in the house. From Immunol to help you with the immune system, Broncanol issues, have a cough or something like that, Chillax for stress, Cognitiva. I take Cognitiva, which is your natural boosting of your energy, memory, the whole thing. It's got cordyceps, right? That's what I make available here at home. And I always tell my kids, one thing is your health is your responsibility. You have to learn, you have to understand your body, you have to listen to your body. Any slightest deviation, you should be able to pick it up. When I attended the event yesterday, I came back and I felt like there was a bit of uneasiness in my system, right? Now, if I wasn't really paying attention, I could just went to bed and slept and I woke up sick, right? I mean, you're in an event, there's a lot of people, you're bound to have something in the air. So I took Immunol, I sprayed with our antiseptic spray, and boom, I am here 100% talking to you. So you have to take charge of your own health. It's non-negotiable. So look out, be careful, make the right choices, and do not in any drink these stuff. Really, guys, I urge you. If you are drinking this stuff and it's your lifeline, find an alternative, because the end results are going to be dire and are going to be bad. We have reached the end of our show. Thank you for being with us. Now we're going to test your knowledge about the dangers and risks of energy drinks. Now if you get this right, you're going to win yourself Cognitiva. Now Cognitiva is Biomuti's answer to energy, natural energy. It's formulated with cordyceps troops, Bacopa mineri, your Panax ginseng, and most importantly your vitamin B complex. It's very important. There is nothing in here that will give you a high of energy and a crash. No sugar, and most importantly, it's not going to give you a heart attack. So that's yours if you answer this quiz. Okay, so let's begin. What are the main stimulants found in most energy drinks? Is it A, taurine? Is it B, caffeine? Is it C, sugar? Or is it D, electrolyte? Next question. Excessive consumption of energy drink can lead to, is it A, dehydration? Is it B, heart palpitation? Is it C, sleep disturbance? Or is it D, all of the above? Next question. How long does it take for caffeine to fully leave your system? Is it A, 2 hours? Is it B, 5 to 6 hours? Is it C, 30 minutes? And D, is it 24 hours? Next question. Which organ is mostly affected by high sugar and caffeine intake? Is it A, kidney? Is it B, liver? Is it C, heart? Or is it D, lungs? Now, final question. Energy drink can be more harmful when mixed with alcohol. True or false? If you enjoyed this show, please click like and subscribe. And most importantly, please share. Thank you and see you next time.